He is not prepared for what is about to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, but he's definitely not prepared for it.
Renato had it all squared away in his head. He would kill the Emperor. Isengrim III had begun well, but he had gone mad. He was trying to invoke the lost gods by means of dark, blasphemous rituals. That was a secret. But the victims had spoken to Renato. The ghosts had spoken. No anger. Renato could not afford anger. It was empowering the crystal in his sword. That made him stronger, but it clouded his mind. He would not be a hero. A hero strives. Renato would just be one with everything. The Emperor would die, and the wheel would turn, and all would be restored without rancor, without sorrow, without pain.
There's going to be a whole hell of a lot of pain.
I wonder what happens if I go that way.
Shatter the crystals. Oh yeah, chest. Physical resistance too. Nice. Slow-mo ship. This thing's purposely in slow motion. Got it. Oh yeah.
But the more he thought about it, and he had so much more time to think about it now that he was not worrying about the battle, killing the Emperor would not change anything. Another would take his place. Perhaps Zenobia. Perhaps the Speaker of the Rebel Council, and power would corrupt them too, and death would make grief, and grief would lead to hatred. He must lead by example. Reject the violence. Reject the desire to create violence. But how? Renato wondered where he could find a snack. He was feeling a bit peckish. It was a bit windy up here.
Who puts cannons there just firing randomly everywhere? Honestly. Ah, there it is. Bye. Neat! I want one of those.
Finally, he came to the Emperor's ship. The path behind him was strewn with dead ravens. The path to enlightenment. His mistake, he realized, was trying to change the world. The world would spin and the wheel would revolve whether he strove against it or not. What he had to do was nothing. He had attained enlightenment. He sat down, adopted a full lotus position, and began to meditate. And all around him, the warriors stopped fighting too. They knew. They could feel his enlightenment. They gave up fighting, dropped their weapons, and became his disciples.
No, they didn't.
No, just kidding. The nearest raven stabbed him with a sword and then chopped off his head. I might not have thought this through properly. Thought Renado's head as it rolled around the deck and died.
Oops.
Just like that, he was alive again, and back on the Farfarer, still fleeing burning Ubar. The book was still open before him. So, the book was a portal. It took you to the future when your destinies would branch. He had failed and died 3 times, but he learned another true thing. The Iblis Stone was evil. It would try to corrupt anyone who used it.
Return of the Hippie. The Iblis Stone, it whispers and corrupts. On a hunch, Ronaldo fed it the Skyripper's core. It silenced the stone, yet its power was intact. Baffled, Ronaldo brought the gem to the wise scholars. The stone feeds on the pain and killing of other sentient beings, they said. Too much pain can overload the core. Find peace, they urged. For the first time in his life, Ronaldo listened to wise advice. Then, a long story short, meditation, doubt, empathy, joy. He was ready for battle. As he fought on, he understood the fertility of war. He had found enlightenment. He sat down on the battlefield and began to meditate, until a nearby raven lopped off his head. That is a good story.
But he was starting to feel like he was getting the hang of this. There was a way through to victory. He could feel it. He just had to keep running the path of destinies. With that, the book fluttered back to the beginning, and he fell into it. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Skyripper had surfaced. Renado knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lupino needed rescuing. Of course, Renado had a pretty strong suspicion that Lupino had betrayed the rebellion. But could Renado really leave an old friend to the Ravens? Every child knew about the Skyripper. The Transcendent Emperor had buried its pieces deep. And then, this Emperor's horrific sacrifices had brought it back to the surface. Bernardo wasn't exactly sure how to use the legendary weapon. But surely, there must be some way to do it without provoking another catastrophe. Had he, somehow, summoned the long-lost components of the legendary weapon out of the deep places of the Earth? It was more than Bernardo could fathom. But if he could find a legendary weapon, he would use it.
Whee! Back into the book. Good game. Very good game. Game that makes you think about things. And then die. Horribly. Horribly dead.
As he set foot on the island, Bernardo couldn't help feeling a bit curious. Was Latino still waiting to be rescued? No. He was probably drinking champagne with the ravens. Did ravens drink champagne? Did rabbits? Bernardo felt oddly thirsty, come to think of it. Why had he chosen the Sky Ripper? Bernardo never made plans that required constant vigilance. He was a hero. He didn't think too much. He just went with his gut and hoped it all worked out. The Sky Ripper was a long shot. He'd have to devote himself to it. No side journeys, no rescuing old friends. That was against his nature. Could he stick with it? You couldn't go sticking jewels in your gauntlet just anywhere. What if you dropped one and broke it? Luckily, there was a bench right here.
Oh, damn it, I did that again. Here we go.
What was the point of this gate? Did they think no one would notice the lever?
Yes. Ironically enough. Well then. I am good fight.
That had been his mistake before, thinking he could win a battle of wills with an ancient evil all by himself. He had to be cleverer than that, or braver, or something.
The truth behind the Sky Ripper is shrouded in a thick skull. Fog. Not skull, fog. Most believable tale is that of the Transcendent Emperor had used the Sky Ripper to banish Iblis. Then the Transcendent Emperor buried the weapon and vanished. Oh yeah, I did read this. Awesome.
Or I could go that way, he thought.
How was this? Nah. I'll just go the other way. The ice seems nice. Never seen this blue before. Oh, just shortcut.
Where did that go to?
Well, I tried. Shieldbreaker level 2. Neat! I skipped level 1. Huh. Chest.
Sweet. You could use this material to craft a spork. Or a sword.
I like the spork better.
Those sheaves were really very well made, weren't they?
Oh wait. I've already been here. Oops.
Sleep tight, thought Renato.
Oh man, I failed terribly. Perfect.
See? That wasn't so hard. Sky Ripper's armature. The stuff that dreams are made of. Engineers' dreams, anyway. The device was intricate. No one alive had the skill to make a thing like it. How was it part of a weapon at all? He'd have to ask a scientist. But first, he'd get the second piece. Sky Ripper had a heart. A core that had come to rest on the next island. Well, there was another island he could reach. Zenobia had just invaded it with her father's Raven battalions. She must be encamped there still. But fighting Zenobia now, that made no sense at all. He'd already sacrificed one friend to get this armature, was it? He didn't need to hurry to face her. She would find him.
Until next time, people.